Robert Ferguson, how you doing, sir? How you doing, Robert?
How's it going?
Good about yourself. I'm sorry, how do you unmute there?
That's okay. I unmuted me.
Things are going well, going well. So how's Florida doing? Good?
Yeah, it's beautiful down here.
I could only imagine. That's awesome.
Yeah, enjoying it.
Lot more laid back, huh?
Yeah, no doubt.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That is good. I appreciate you rescheduling. My father did pass on Sunday, so
Oh gosh,
we
I'm
had to.
sorry.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So we had to rearrange some stuff. So we'll get together this weekend and talk some stuff here because we got to get rocking here. We got to get moving.
Absolutely, sounds good.
Yeah, we gotta get going. I haven't. I've got a stack of. I'll talk until more people come. I've
Mhm.
got a stack of like about 109 ones I'm gonna mail. It's mostly lower units, like I think from 10 to like I think 25, somewhere in that area, on the
Okay.
west side of the state.
All right.
I'm gonna
Yeah, it's a good
I'm,
place to start.
I'm gonna tweak the mailing. I haven't done it yet because I've been hearing mixed results. Like, do you mail now? Do you not? I don't know. I think I'll probably do it maybe next week. I heard they're going to extend our stay at home here for um, a little more while, but I think it's a good time. I think it's, you know,
I
something
think so too. I
to
think that's time. And I've been doing some work down here, looking up, kind of getting right a list of places and right. I've also taken the time to how I was doing a lot of macros writing and stuff for Excel. Well, I ended up deciding to do it right from Google App Script. So you can do it right
okay.
into Google Script, into Google Sheets, and all that stuff. And so I've got it set up now where if I have a list of folks, I can automatically text out like email drips at certain. I can set all the criteria and all that stuff.
Well, that's cool.
I can do
That's
it by
awesome.
email, text, whatever. And so I've started doing that because I was looking for places. I figured I'd just connect with people and look for single family stuff down here because I myself am buying, right.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Well, that's
So
cool. So you're using Google Docs or what they call Google Sheets, right?
Google Sheets,
To
yep,
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'd
yeah.
like to
And
see
so
that.
yeah, it works out really well.
That's cool. Hey, how you doing, Pat in Hartford? How you doing?
Great.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. How are you guys doing? You're all hunkered down and trying to be safe?
Yeah,
And just life goes on.
There you go. That is true. It does. I heard somewhere, I was just telling Bob that I guess Michigan's thinking about extending it a little bit. So I don't know what that means a little bit, but it's going to be
June, so
weird.
why not?
I'm ready to get out. In fact, I went out to the bank this morning and I purposely took the long way around so I could be in the car for like 10 more minutes because I'm tired of I'm just tired of being home. It's like, oh my gosh. I went to the bank with my little scarf on and my hat and my glasses. So, and they were pretty good because they stopped you at the door with a table, and they had pens lined out. She was all masked up, and they had everything laying out on the table. And then they, quarantined with tape where you could go. They have shields up in the because this is for my dad's accounts, and
Oh,
I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I'm like, I feel like I'm robbing the bank. She says, yeah, don't worry about it. Just come on in. I'm like, so they're open for business, but it's just it was a little bit different, walking in, there's the big table, they get the big, and when you're done with the pen, you take it from the new pen into the old pen, used pen. She says, I wash those off when you guys leave. I'm like, oh my gosh. They've got such a process, which is good. I mean, I think it's
yeah.
good that they're at least got some kind of process set up. um
You think they just give you the pen?
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But I'm like, come on, they're a bank. It's like, we can't spend all this. But
Huh.
it was neat that they had different trays for different pens, and then they had your deposit slips and stuff like that there. And then around the other side, when you leave, they had hand sanitizer. This table was like right up against the front door. I mean, you walked into it when you walked into the bed. I'm like, oh, okay. She goes, yeah, come on in. She's right there to greet you, which, I mean, I guess they got to do that. So, you
Right.
know, that's
Protocol.
the new norm.
Huh. Huh.
That's the new normal right now. All right. Let's see who we got on here. We got a few people. I don't see how many other people are popping in here. Maybe just the cozy four of us. I got a few people saying they're joining, but obviously, they say that. And then obviously after that, something comes up family wise or something like that. So, okay, there's people chinging here. A couple more people are coming in. All right, there we go. Hello, hello. I always get this wrong.
Huh.
Sophia, and then Narako. Did I say that right, Narako? I'm probably crucifying the last name, and first name. I apologize.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good, real good, real good. Thank you for joining us. We'll get started here in a couple seconds here. What we can do is kind of start and see, does anybody have any questions, any burning questions you've been thinking of asking? Or not that I know everything, but we get enough people on the call here that we got some pretty good experience here. Any questions that anybody had?
And where's the apartment market headed, Pat?
Where's the apartment market headed? That's a good question. I think it's going to be stable from what I've been reading and hearing from other people. They were really expecting um, April to be a little bit worse than it was. It was nationally down like 24% as far as people not paying their rent, which is in line typically. I guess May is going to be the next big indicator for people because I heard, and also in this report and some other these government reports I read, that people are getting their stimulus checks now. So now everybody's kind of holding their breath for May. What's going to happen then? Everybody was okay in April because it really just kind of happened, right? Now we have had a whole month with this. In a lot of states, including Michigan here, you can't really evict. So it's kind of it's kind of a different scenario. You're always going to have the people that I believe that are going to take advantage of the system. They're going to take advantage of the system, right? You're going to get people to do that. Hey, I can't pay when they really can. But from what I'm reading and hearing, it's April wasn't as bad as they were all saying. But again, May is the next, let's say, hurdle to get over. How many people are going to take advantage of that and take advantage of, if they don't lift the can evict, I don't know when they're going to lift those kind of restrictions. So,
But
I mean,
even
there's
when
still,
they do, the dockets are going to be backed up. It's going to take a long time before you can be able to evict
well,
anybody.
that's true, Bob. I mean, I never really thought about it. You're right. The dockets are. I mean, exactly. So, yeah, you're probably going to get people out there that those people that take advantage of the system, air quotes there. Yeah, I mean, I guess I really didn't think about that. Yeah, that's so. That's what I've been hearing and seeing, and I was just telling Bob, I'm gonna I'm going to start marketing. I stopped here for a while. I'm going to start marketing probably next week or week after, and get the ball rolling. But again, like some of the people I've talked to that are doing deals or have deals in the pipeline, it's not necessarily finding the deal and negotiating with the seller. It's doing the due diligence. How are you going to go through and view every unit, let's say on a bigger property, any kind of property, if they're not going to let you in the building because of COVID-19. How are you going to get the appraiser out there if they're not working? Title companies, banks, all this kind of stuff. And what I've heard there is that mostly unless it's like a local bank, but most of the mid-tier banking is shut down. Agency still available, but again, you still got to get that property through the due diligence process, right? You got to get your survey guys out, your heating and cooling guys out there. Sometimes that's a challenge because they may not be working.
I also heard, excuse me, I also heard, speaking of the banks, that they're reducing the loan to value and
Yep.
requiring like 30% down.
Yep. I heard they're doing, they want 12 months of rent up front. They want 12 months of insurance. In fact, one gentleman I was talking to a while ago on a call, he said that he had to put up 12 months of each just to make the deal. And then the bank then also reduced the loan to value, just like you said, Hartford. They're hedging their bet. It was still a good interest rate, but you had to raise, that much more money.
Yeah.
But you just put that into your calculations. I mean, it's probably going to, skew it just a tad bit. I mean, let's put it that way, adding that much more money into it. But, you gotta do it if that's, just like the debt coverage service ratio, they want 1.25, if you don't meet that, the deal's not going to go through. So you just put that as now the new normal into the calculations, which, some of these things probably they had a hard time flying before. Without that, now adding that type of money, and depending on where you're at, that could be a lot of cash. So we'll see what happens. But that's what I've heard. I've heard some people that they had they were at the closing table and the banks just said, nope, we're done, and then just then you have to go renegotiate. What I think, and this is just my opinion, is if the seller has to sell or wants to sell, this would be a great time for seller financing, right? If there's
Yeah.
never been a time to, negotiate seller financing, this would be, if you can do your whole process as far as due diligence and feel very comfortable with that, go through the units, make sure everything's good, and do that. This is probably the easiest sell as far as, seller financing. But again, is the seller, a lot of people I've heard, they're just, no, I don't need to sell. And then they just pull it off the market. Or will you going to get some of those guys that really have to sell, right?
Mhm.
Now you got seller financing, whereas, hey, I can't get it financed. Then you may not have to bring that extra money, Hartford, like you talked about.
Yeah.
That's the way
Yeah.
I kind of look at it.
I just had a quick question just popped in my
Sure.
head when you're saying that. So if somebody needed to do a 1031, would seller financing work? I mean, does that count as them getting rid of the property if they're doing a seller financing?
Seller financing with a 1031 exchange.
Yeah. So if the owner needs to do a 1031 because they need to, they need to get a bigger property, they need to
Oh, I
get
see
rid
what
of
you're
it.
saying. Okay, the owner.
If yeah, and then like someone like me did, okay, I get entered into a seller financing with them. Would that still count for their 1031 that they're trying to do?
It could, based on what you negotiate, because in a seller financing, they are the bank, so they're not going to get cashed out like they would if I went and went a bank loan. So let's say the gentleman had it for sale for $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your down payment may only be 50,000. So he's not going to get all cashed out. So depending on what amount he's looking to 1031, it probably won't work because
Okay.
you're not paying him off completely. So a 1031 exchange, in essence, in its form, is I've got the proceeds of this whole loan. Let's say I made $1 million profit. I don't want to pay taxes on it, so I take that $1 million and transfer it to the next property. Seller financing, he's the bank or she's the bank, and then that stuff there, I should say, that stuff, the equity stays in the property. So he's not really, or the 1031 or seller is not getting anything other than the down payment.
Okay. Yep.
So but again, you can still, another thing is, is if that is the case of something you're looking at, ask the seller some questions like, is 1031 is really what you want to do? Maybe seller financing will give him the same tax results, probably not 100%, 1-to-1, but it may give him that tax result that he's needing. Usually people to do 1031 exchange are looking to either upgrade a property or do something because of taxes. So seller financing can give him that. He's not going to get this big lump sum and has to pay the government. It's just an installment. And you got to kind of talk to the seller and see what the motivation behind the 1031 exchange is. Is it, hey, I don't need the money, but I really want to go after a larger complex, and that's why we're doing a 1031? Or is it, hey, I just don't want to pay taxes? Okay, well, then we can structure something within seller financing that kind of, and again, you're going to, he or whoever you're dealing with will have to talk with their, tax advisor, because I'm not a tax attorney, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a real estate attorney, but you can phrase it that way as saying, listen, what are you looking to do? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, man, it's just when you said it's probably a good time for seller financing, just kind of rang a bell in my head thinking, okay,
Oh
who
yeah,
else?
I think it is, and others on the phone can chime in too. I think it would be. I think it would be if they're needing to sell or have to sell, and that's the big key, the motivation of the seller. That's really what we're looking for. If they don't need to sell and don't want to, well, they'll just take it off the market or just leave it up there at $10 million, and they're never going to get 10 million. So I think it kind of, if they need to sell, or, they'll work with you more, I think.
Right. Okay.
I haven't tried it yet because, again, I stopped marketing when this all started because I didn't know where it was going to go and how it would move, because you can get the person to call you. That's no problem. But then lining up your third party individuals to do your due diligence, especially when it first started, was a scary thought of you maybe have to pay the guy extra, or do what, are we going to be able to cruise through every unit? Probably not. What more this drags on, I think people will lighten up just a little bit more, but we'll see. So I'll let you know by next month. I'll let you know and see how it went. So I'm going to
Okay.
start marketing in the next week or so here and see what happens, and see if I even get even if I get calls or get some kind of interest. You never know.
Yeah.
That's a good question, though. That's a real good question. Anybody else got anything? I don't want to be talking the whole time here. Goodness. But I would say the apartment market is still going to be solid. Obviously, people have to have a place to live, but more so, I think, when you're doing opportunities and looking at this, looking at the rent rolls even harder or closer is going to be the key. Anything else, Sophia? You have any questions? Burning questions you got out there?
Hi, I just want to say hi to everybody.
Hello.
And this is my first time to attend this.
Okay.
And I'm currently have some properties not in the multifamilies, not in the commercials, but in the single families part. But now I feel like, I want to be started in this areas, in the multifamilies areas. So,
Okay, cool.
and I went online and look at it and find out, there's opportunities for this meetup. So I just want to, to say hi and try
Okay.
to be silenced to learning the stuff, to see that.
Well, the whole idea of a mastermind obviously is, getting together and talking things out and stuff like that. So, so you're looking, do you know what, size of properties that you want to tackle in the commercial?
Um, I'm currently I I'm in the Michigan. I'm in actually so I lived in Novi, Northville. So
Okay.
I'm looking for the properties that still in this areas. So I'm thinking about maybe I start with some the unit between 10 to 20 unit. So I want to start it like I've been learning some basic knowledge about this
Okay.
multi-families, about the apartment, about all that kind of stuff. So I kind of still want to put it in practice, basically. So I
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
want to gradually start it to see that what is the opportunity, and also in the past 2-3 months, I mean to say that past months or 2 months, we are always experience the historicals where there's so many things happen. So I kind of feel like, what is to happen next? But, I kind of feel like maybe I should look at this very serious.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, thank you for joining for the first time. Thank you. And hopefully you'll get maybe a little bit of knowledge and a little, if you have questions, definitely ask them. But thank you for joining. Awesome. Dan, I see you got in. I saw your text message there.
Yeah. Hi, Pat.
How you
Thanks.
doing?
Yeah. No, it was just giving me like a pause. Said wait for host, and I thought, well, maybe there was a glitch going on. But and then,
No, the glitch is with me. I'm trying to figure out the Zoom thing. So trust me, just because I got this background doesn't mean I know what I'm doing. Trust me, this is.
That's pretty sweet. I love that.
I just figured it out this week. I figured I'm going to try it because, I'm doing this obviously in my bedroom, so it's like, okay, this is crazy. So yeah, I just learned this week. So trust me, I'm still trying to figure this Zoom thing out. But welcome. How you been doing? Pretty good.
Yeah, real good. Everybody's been healthy, and yeah, I've been kind of out of the loop on your meetup lately, and I was thinking about it, and then I got your email. I'm like, oh, sweet. I'm available, and we'll jump in and see what's going on.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, well, I changed this to an online forum, I think last month, because I'm just hearing people that they couldn't get there, and obviously with the quarantine, I figured, you know what, perfect time to do it. Set up the time, boom, so people get here. It's, I think, a lot more convenient as far as, getting people in here. You can come here real quick and then boom, because you're already at home. So it works. Yep. But welcome. Have you done anything since we last talked? Any progress or anything?
Working a lot of different angles. I've been really hard at the parks. Really digging and resourcing on that. Kind of figured out a new kind of a different approach right now.
Okay.
I've got a lot of contacts out there, feelers out there right now. Just kind of working some residential stuff, just maybe for the interim.
Okay.
For cash flow, but still, pressing toward the either the self-storage or the park. And I know the self-storage, I just did a bunch of numbers on a couple of self-storage units that I came across, and they're just so popular, and the numbers are just not there. I don't know who's buying them at those kind of numbers, but
Yeah, you and me both. Same. Well, same thing. Everything in commercial is hot. I mean, that's that's what you do. And yeah, stuff that's out there now. I just did a due diligence on a property um, last week, and man, I just can't make it work. I mean, it's just. But that one is good practice that you do it, and two
Mhm.
that you keep running it and seeing what happens and why is that for sale and stuff like that. Now that was a self storage, you said.
It was actually two self-storage units, and one was in Midland. And I talked to a guy that I know that owns a bunch of them, and he actually had seen them like 2 years ago come up. And I guess the owner had a bunch of mobile home communities and self-storage, and he's kind of liquidating out of them. But he
Okay.
was one of those owners that kind of squeezed a lot of the life out, but didn't do much capex.
Yeah.
So that's part of his
And he
issue.
wants the high price too, right?
Yeah,
He
he's
hasn't
just,
done
you know,
anything to it, but yet he wants.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I'm sure you know the drill. And so those are going to linger for a while until he just decides he's got to have the money, but that might be a while because I talked to the guy that kind of runs his operation because the main owner, I guess, is mostly out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he's pretty flush with cash because he sold a lot of assets, so he's not super motivated.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
about the motivation, man. I'm
yeah.
telling you, it's
So
just
if it's paid for and it's sitting there and it needs a little work, but it's still cranking out,
yeah.
60, 70, $80,000,
There's
good
no need for
time.
him to move. He's got sitting on cash. He's going, what am I going to do with this other cash, right? I mean, and that's one you put in the follow up file for 6 months, 8 months, and you know but yeah, I've run into quite a few of those people where you're like they're just unrealistic and he's sitting on a bunch of cash. There's no reason. I mean, there's no motivation for him to do that. So well, that's good. At
Yeah,
least you're getting the practice to go do that and talk to them and see why it's not moving. And that's hopefully what we do here with this forum is you look at that kind of stuff and see why has that been sitting there for the last year. Why did that come back up around? Well, because they're unrealistic on their price and there's no motivation.
yeah.
Interesting. Now
Yeah,
there was two of them in Midland, is that what you said?
yeah, it was one in Midland, and then one was in, it was a Flushing mailing address
Flushing,
on
okay.
Mount Morris Road.
Okay, that's up by Flint,
And
right? Yeah.
yeah, just north of Flint.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean,
I
he was
think I've
supposed to
looked at
send me
those.
some, you might have come across them when the last time they were around, and now I guess they're just kind of lingering out there. I just stumbled across them when I was looking into something else.
Gotcha.
But so
They're
I
they're
thought,
both they're both still listed.
no, they're not listed with a broker or anything right now.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
They're just there. And the guy that I talked to about them, he had looked at them and run the numbers a couple of years ago.
Oh
And he
wow.
said, now maybe the guy's gotten more reasonable and he's coming down, or maybe he's a little more motivated. But he did say the market in Midland's a little oversaturated,
Mm-hmm.
and they're right at that Eastwood exit where the fairgrounds is, one of the main exits off of 10.
Okay.
So they're in a real populated area. It's a nice area, but he said there's a lot of units available per capita.
Yep.
The only thing he said that makes it somewhat attractive is that they built a couple climatized large buildings,
Okay.
and those have been pulling good numbers on that particular spot.
Yeah. That's what I found when I was. I don't really look into self storage per se anymore, but I'll analyze them. But when I was really heavy into it, that's what I found is as far as obviously the per capita, it's 7 feet per individual. That's how you analyze it. That's what I was finding is a lot of these there was just such a saturation that I would have to I couldn't raise rents because I'd have to do something drastic, like spend hundreds of $1,000s and add climate control, which then just tweaks your curve because it's oversaturated. That's what I found, at least in my, searches that I was looking at, is that, because that's the first thing I look for, is a radius around the property. What's the population, like that one up in Flushing. The population is not there to hold, like, any kind of, because you want traffic. Same thing with an apartment. You want traffic to be going by it, and people, new people every day. If you only got 1,300 in the whole town, they all got a storage unit already. There's not, there's you can rent another one to his brother-in-law, but that's about it. So that's what I found when I was doing, is there was so much oversaturation, or I had to put in huge amounts of money to make it, some kind of unique feature, meaning climate control. That was, then of course, then it just drives, you gotta, like your owner. No, he didn't want to do anything with it. There's no motivation in him to take a discount. There's no motivation in him to fix the place up. I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
keep trying, man. Just keep trying and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. It wouldn't necessarily. I wouldn't move forward with self-storage, but I'm going to explore them. Because I hate to just say, oh, it's not going to be a good deal just because the market says it's not going to be a good deal. Because you never know, even in this climate, you just might be in the right place at the right time, and the owner just goes, just give me this much money, I'll take you this, and I want to move on because something else is going on in their life. So that's was kind of my thought behind it.
Well, that's a good thought. I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about a little bit before. I mean, that's, there's always going to be people in foreclosure. There's always going to be people needing to sell. There's always going to be people in bankruptcy, always people getting divorced. I mean, that just happens. I mean, that's a way of, way of life. So yeah, if you're there when that happens and you can make the deal happen, obviously a little bit more, let's say, tighter to do that now compared to 2 months ago. But if you can get things put together or get a long due diligence period until you can come out of quarantine, if they know that hey, I got to sell, or I have to sell because I'm getting divorced, or my husband died, or whatever, if they know that there's some light at the end of the tunnel, you'll be their solution, and that's what you hope for.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
I was able to get my solo 401k all set up and running.
That's good.
So
cool.
That's,
So are you gonna now? Are you? You're not going to use that to fund your deals. You're going to use that to do deals in other people's offerings.
well, it's set up to where I could do private lending or
Okay.
real estate, or you can actually set up another account, so to speak, alongside with a brokerage firm, and you can actually move that money in and out of stocks or mutual funds if you want, if it's idle, and then you want to keep it somewhat liquid, and then we were to come across a
A deal.
larger asset,
Yeah.
you can move it back, and you can use all those funds.
Wow.
To,
okay.
So go ahead.
That's cool. That's good.
So that I was excited about that, and it's just you want to. It increases the desire to do something,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't want to just do something just so you did it and it doesn't turn out well. So
yes, that's true. That is true. You never want to do that. Well, but that's good though. But think about this: is like in a group like this, you just said, "Hey, you could be a private lender." So the people on the call, if they need that, now you could do something like that where you could still make money and still be in real estate, and now you just have a different avenue to do it. You may not be doing deals right now, but now you could help maybe somebody else that's looking at a deal or has a deal, so you can still let's say profit or be a partner with somebody else. So that's a good way to do it, and be able to set things up like that and be diverse, especially in this type of economy. That's good. Not bad, not bad. So people can contact you if they need a private lender, right? I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but
no, short term stuff like that, because I don't want to get tied up long term, because if a larger asset does come up,
okay,
then I would have to make a move, or between due diligence and the closing lag time, there's time there. But for private funding on a house flip, or transitional funding,
Well, that's
gap
good to
funding
know.
or something like that for
Okay. Well, that's good to
transaction.
know. That's good. Would you mind giving out your phone number or email address if somebody wanted to contact you? I mean, I don't need to put you
No,
on the
not at
spot.
all. You want me to put it in the notes?
Yeah, you can do that. That'd be great. And then I can spend the rest of the time trying to figure out how to do that.
Well, I'm going to pretend that I know how to do it, because I watched a bunch of people do it on one of my other webinars.
All right, that's good. We can both learn.
You just put it on chat.
Yep. And
Let
then
me
There
see
you go,
that.
chat. There it is. Thank you.
start typing.
See, it takes a village to do this kind of stuff, folks. This is yeah, go ahead and do that if you don't mind. That way, if people on the call are looking for that, we get you some business. And we appreciate you suggesting that. That's great, or letting us know about that. Because that's what I set this up for, is the mastermind. We're all stronger with more people together working in the same direction.
Yep, absolutely. High tide raises all boats.
Yes, you got that
I
right.
like that one.
That is true. That is true. Did you have something, Sophia?
Yeah, what kind of interest you're thinking about it? Interest rate for the private lender you charge for?
Well, that would probably depend on the asset, the term, the timeline, and
You're talking about the short terms, right? You're talking about, you hope like less than 6 months? 3
Yes.
months, 6 months?
yes.
Okay.
So there would so in that, probably like around 9, and then depending on the project, whether there would be the terms escaping me, of initiation. I don't know what initiation be, but it's a point.
Oh, a point up
Some
front.
lenders will
Gotcha.
charge a half or 1 point or whatever for the loan origination or processing and monitoring, and then kind of go from there.
Okay.
Gotcha. But the whole thing is, what I learned a while ago, and one of my mentors told me, is it's not the cost of the money, it's the fact that you have access to the money and get the deal. Again, going back to what Dan said, it's short term. So you put that into your calculations. Is this something that can work and make the deal still work and you still move forward? That's the whole deal. So 9-10% or whatever, you may not be able to get that deal done with a traditional lender or with your own money. Does those numbers work? But thank you. We appreciate that, Dan. I appreciate that very much. All right. Does everybody see that in the chat there?
Yeah.
All right. Good. Awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate you sharing. That's awesome. So now the parks you were looking, were you looking here in Michigan? Were you looking elsewhere?
Well, I'm focusing on Michigan right now, only because I just know more about the territory, if you will, and it's something that I could have a little better access to, just as a first park. And that's
Gotcha.
basically the advice that I've been handed from more experienced owners, and especially depending on if it's a turnkey push button and it's pretty much up and running, and somebody's done a really good job with it. Obviously, that's probably not going to be my scenario, because that's going to go for top dollar and be probably scarfed up by a larger corporate conglomerate. And that's kind of the direction those,
Now, are you staying within a certain unit size, or are you going after the bigger ones or just anything?
Well, I guess it would just be a bigger consortium if we were trying to take down a bigger park. In Michigan, I think a big park for Michigan's probably 200, 250. I don't really see too many that are up in that 300 plus range. There's a couple of older ones in Mount Morris that were probably 400 and 500. but
Mhm.
they're basically ghost towns now. They're,
Yeah, our son owns them, which is a local group here in
yeah,
Farmington Hills. So yeah, that most of the bigger ones are owned by the bigger corporations.
yeah, those 4 and 5 star parks, they just get scarfed up. And the bigger corporations, they can afford to buy them at an 8 cap right now
Yeah.
because they've got all the systems in place. It's just, they just put them
Well,
into
yeah,
a
they got the
team.
people because they've got 3 or 4 other parks in the area, so they just maintenance guy just now goes to a different address. I mean, compared to something like us would have to do it where we don't have any large ones. You'd have to hire all that staff. But
Yeah,
that's the economics of scale, right? As they say, once you get to that point where you can spread your maintenance people over several different properties, be it apartments or self storage or even mobile home parks, that's where you win. So now that guy goes to 3 different properties compared to one.
yep.
That's good. That's good. That's awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess to answer your question, I think that the larger corporations are going to pass or overlook, however you want to phrase it, a lot of the medium-sized parks
Hmm.
that may have I don't know, some of the issues that they don't want to deal with. I've seen them come into like maybe a C plus B minus park and just go like crazy. There's one up in Davison where we rehabbed a mobile home. I came across it and we rehabbed it and turned it, and they turned out great. We was gone in 24 hours, and
Oh, so you rehabbed a mobile home itself?
yeah, we
Oh,
just kind of
okay.
stumbled across it, and I said, "Oh, sure, we'll do it." And we ended up selling it to another a park owner that's
Okay.
buying nice used homes because it's too expensive to put the brand new ones in,
Hmm.
and the people can't get the financing. But this park didn't care about buying it. Normally, your park will want to buy it and retain it. They'll buy it from the person moving out or whatever. But they didn't want it. They wanted to put the new ones in. They probably already had 30 brand new homes
Oh, wow.
in this
Really?
park.
Okay.
And it wasn't a bad park to begin with, but they were just going like crazy putting them
Now,
in. It
what was the age of this trailer that you fixed up?
was a 95.
That's pretty new. That's pretty
Yeah,
new.
it was a very nice unit. It really cleaned up well. And I was just shocked that the park didn't want to keep it, but they were going to plug a brand new home in there, and they were selling them really well.
Wow. That's good. I mean, that's good to hear because obviously, yes, they're more expensive. But that's, maybe they're just trying to put everything to one. So most of the other homes in that park were newer. So the 95 was kind of like their old one, right?
Um, it was probably on the lower end. I think maybe
Okay.
half the park was maybe in the late 90s or late 80s to 90s area. And, they were bringing in a lot of double wides. A lot of their lots in there won't really support a double wide, I don't think. But, it was very nice. They had off street parking, all cement. When they get done, it'll probably be a solid B,
Nice.
maybe a B plus park.
Nice.
It'll be, but they're pouring a lot of money in there. And that's one of the Sun community. Sun bought that, and now they're just dumping tons of capital into it.
Gotcha. So now, when you fix the trailer up, somebody moved it out to another park?
They were actually scheduled to pull it before all this COVID stuff started. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
actually still sitting.
Okay.
They haven't been
Awesome.
able to pull it out.
Okay.
They can't get the movers in there, or can't get the other site set up, or something.
Oh, gotcha, for the movers. So
But
for people who don't deal in mobile home parks, I want to kind of back up and kind of got to give you what we're talking about. This home was owned by a private individual or what they call a leased property. So they leased the land from the owner. So the previous owner sold it to Dan because they own the property, and that's the optimum position you want to be in when you are in the mobile home park is all you own is the land. You don't want to be owning homes because you have to rehab them and it's more expensive. So what happens is that person, he bought it off of Dan bought it off of them. So then the park themselves wasn't going to keep that. So they would release that so they can take this, and probably somewhere in the range of $5,000 to $8,000 to move this what they call mobile home. They still have to put wheels underneath it because they don't keep the wheels on them. They have to jack it up and then trailer it to the next park that's accepting this type of home. That's kind of the big difference in this type of investment. So what he's talking about is the movers, obviously during the COVID, everything shuts down because they have to have somebody to do the piers and the setting, what they call the setting and tying down of the house at the new location. They have to level it and put piers underneath it and make sure everything. They usually put rocks underneath it so the water doesn't gather and skirting all the way around it. If obviously they've been shut down because they can't move that to the next park. So hope that clarified some stuff. Does anybody have any questions about that?
So are you just talking to one lot or you're talking up to the whole park? I'm missing that part.
This happened to be just a single mobile home that was in a park that came up for sale, that somebody just wanted to get out from under quickly. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. It was kind of a wild story, is that this came up because I had been talking to different people about my interest in mobile home parks. And a lady that I had talked to, her son lived in this park and had this home and decided that they needed to get out from under it quickly. And so she just kind of remembered that had something to do with mobile home parks. So they called and just said, hey, we know you guys, you do real estate and would you be interested in buying this mobile home? So like most of the rest of us, I'm kind of like, well, we'll kind of look at anything and see if it works. And so, yeah, it worked out well. And I made a really good connection with a local wholesaler / dealer that
That's good.
does a lot of work in networking in the used mobile home sector. And he helped me because I don't have a dealer's license, so I wanted everything, all the paperwork to be up to snuff. So he managed that end of it and made a great connection. And I think as hopefully a future park owner, you really need a lot of those industry connections because most parks need homes.
Yes.
At some time or other, even if you buy a 90% capacity park, you'd like to fill the other 10.
Yeah.
And it's hard to come by.
To answer Sophia's question, typically you want to buy the whole park. This just came to Dan as like let's say a one-off.
Yeah.
So when you're a park owner, you want to be somehow this park owner that flew under the radar for them, or they saw it and didn't want that age of home, because the older the home is, the size of the property gets smaller, the bedrooms are smaller, and it sounds like Sun purchased this community, so they want the larger, wider homes and the bigger bedrooms, because you get back into the 80s, the properties were very small and tiny. There were only 2 bedrooms, and for families nowadays that won't go. So he was just dealing with one person selling in a park itself.
So normally, for Michigan, what is the vacancy rate what is the occupancy rate for the mobile home park? We're talking about 90%. Do you guys have an idea? Because
it varies because your clientele is I would say in the clientele of a CD type of apartment building. So it just depends. like Dan was talking here with this one, Sun Communities bought that, so they're going to rev it up. But some of them I've seen vacancy rates of 20%, 30%. Some I've seen they're full. It really depends. But that could be the opportunity you're looking for when you're purchasing a property or a mobile home park of, what's the tenant base? Is it, again, we talk about park owned homes or owner owned homes, or, the owner owns it, meaning park owned homes are what Dan did. The park owned that home and they sold it off to whoever wanted to buy it. That's kind of a lease kind of a deal. You want to be on the other side of where you're just renting or leasing that dirt to the person who owns that home. So it just varies. That's a good question, Sophia. I mean, each park and each area is different. Like I said, I've seen parks that are 50% vacant. Well, there's a reason why it's 50% vacant, because half of the property has 1970s and 80s homes, but just down the street is a community that is kept up, and they got 80s and 90s style homes, which are bigger and brighter and got the newer everything on top of it. And they're they get the pitch roof. Older homes are the flat metal roof. So it just depends.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Thank you for sharing, Dan. I appreciate that. Anybody else got any other questions or anything you've been seeing out there? Pat, how is your industrial building search coming? Have you found anything yet? I caught him off guard. Pat does industrial buildings and industrial properties. He's the go-to guy for the industrial side of the business, which before the COVID-19 was doing fairly well with the at least here in Michigan, with the recreational marijuana laws and stuff they passed. So I don't know if he's got any stories on that or not. So interesting. Anybody else got any questions? 2Zs, do you have any questions? You're laying low there. Well, okay. Well, I mean, I don't have anything else. I don't want to keep you guys on the phone any longer than we have to. But does anybody else have any other questions, concerns, any deals that anybody's working that they want to share? Any experiences that you've kind of gone through in the last month here? We'll try to keep this going forward as an online forum. I've already set up the other months going forward, and depending on the membership of this, or I should say the people who participate, I was thinking maybe doing 2 times a month, but I'm gonna play with that here for a while. But I'll leave it definitely, the 4th Wednesday of the month, and go out and get your deals, bring deals in, and we'll talk them through, and we'll try to get you to a opportunity and a deal here, hopefully in the next few months. But if anybody has any more questions, if not, I will end here and let you get back to your lives and stuff like that.
Pat, what's your stance or thought process right now based on your own research on market trends? I know that's a hard one to put your thumb on, but I know everybody's kind of trying to formulate opinions and everybody's got different sources. So
Mm-hmm.
do you have any input on that, or anybody here on the forum have any connections that they would be interested in sharing, that they've sourced some good info on the market?
Yeah, I was just telling him just before you came on.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. No.
I was late to the party.
Yeah, because some guy running the place didn't know what he was doing. So sorry about that. No, I said that I'd stopped marketing for a while. I'm going to start probably this week or next. Because what I've heard and what I've seen other people, other syndicators, other apartment owners is, getting the deal, is one aspect, but then the due diligence is a whole new animal now, because walking units, being on the grounds, that's kind of tough. Even let's say with a park, well, you're going into people's homes, they may not let you in there, so you're buying stuff that you really didn't inspect fully, compared to other ways beforehand. So that's what I've seen as far as that. And I'm going to start marketing here probably in like I said, week at this next week or the week after, because by then hopefully the lending and see, another thing we talked about as well is the the other team members you have, the surveys, right, the banks, the title companies, getting title and filed at the clerk's office. They're not there. So you may have a great opportunity, right? But you can't get all these ancillary, team members to return your call or leave their, because they're not no longer in business, but they're hunkered down. So that's what I've seen is, some of the deals that were already in the pipeline, some went through, and others, they were stopped at the closing table because the bank said, we want, Hartford and I talked about this beforehand. If they want now, 12 months of payments up front for the mortgage, 12 months of insurance up front. Well, if your deal is just, right there, that's just gonna blow it away.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've seen both. I've seen where other people are still looking and, doing. I think it's a good time to start looking, and based on the motivation of the seller. Haven't seen too many fire sales, but like we talked earlier, people still get divorced, still people get sick, still people have marital problems, that still happens. So hopefully you'll find that, that nugget which you're always looking for, but during this time. But it's just you got other team members now, especially in commercial. It's not like single family where, okay, I'm looking for the bank and the appraiser. Well, we got multifamily or even mobile home parks. You got several team members that you got to get out there. So I think once it gets closer towards the end date of this, lockdown, especially here in Michigan and other states, I think it'll get started getting better because people want to get back to work and do that. But again, they may be backlogged too. So it's a gamble. I mean, we'll see what happens. Anybody else see anything different or hear anything different? How you doing, Kay? I see you just joined.
Oh, I muted myself. Yeah,
That's
doing
okay.
fine. Just staying home, not going out. And
Like
I don't
everybody
have a
else, right?
camera. Yeah, yeah.
Well, good to see you.
Hopefully,
Good to hope everything's safe with your family and everything. I hope everybody on the phone too. Um, but has anybody else on the phone heard any different stories or anything? That was a good question, Dan. Anything else other than that people have heard about opportunities or deals or what the landscape looks like?
It is interesting. I was reading an article this morning, and they were saying that they're thinking that this virus is going to come back in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting if hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, to see, being that it's come again, if people, looking to sell will have a different attitude than they do right now, as far as I'll just hold on and wait and see or whatever. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, that's a pretty good observation, Hartford. You're right. That would, once we get over this hump, do we have that, what, 6 month or three, or here in Michigan, winter comes like in July, but that runway that, okay, is that really going to be where people are going to take off because they know, because they've been reading that, starting here, we're going to go back into it. I hope it doesn't, but that's something to watch. That's something to watch out for, and see if that, could be the case. That may be the window that we need to really, because people there's certain people that are going to have to sell, right? regardless of the weather, the timing, they're going to have to sell, right? So that's what, you want those people, and maybe catch them in that thing. But that's a good idea, Hartford. That's if that holds true, and I've heard that too. I've heard that they're thinking it may come back in the fall because we all go back inside again, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, so for your marketing, are you doing, I know before you said you were doing text messages, or how are you going about doing your marketing? And because I'm about to start it up again myself, and I was actually thinking about trying out some YouTube ads. Just didn't know if you had any input on doing it that way.
No, I have not. For this business here, I have not done YouTube ads. Um, just because targeting of an actual property owner may be a little bit more difficult compared to the money that you spend. Same thing with a Facebook ad. Those are a little harder to target, because you can target in both properties, but when I was doing it for my social media marketing, you really couldn't pick, okay, he's a commercial real estate investor. And you can try it. I mean, you can definitely try it, but if you've already got a list of the properties and the addresses and the owners, that would be a more direct route than going to a YouTube. But what you could do is, if you want to do something like that, if you've got a list of names, let's say in Detroit or Southfield or whatever, and you get the property addresses, have that go to a video on YouTube. You could do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably be more effective than just doing a blanket, ad on YouTube or Facebook.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts. That's, and I'm, not the expert, but that would be what I would do.
Okay.
Kat, I'm sorry, I have to be excused, but it's very nice to.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming, and look for you next month, and enjoy. Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. But that's a good idea, Hartford. That's something to look into. Different marketing techniques that could work. I'm not saying it wouldn't work. But that's a good idea. That's a pretty good idea. But I'm doing right now, to answer your question, right now I'm just doing letters. I have done texts, I've done phone calls, all that different stuff within the last year. I'm going to start with just letters right now, and I have fine-tuned my criteria a little bit tighter than it was. It was 24 to 100 units. I'm going to tighten it down just a little bit and target maybe some smaller units, and try that. So what I try to do is not change too much in the marketing at once, meaning I don't change the color of the envelope, the city, and the number of units. So I change one thing at one time so I can see if it worked or not. So that's this next mailing. Actually, I had the mailing all ready to go out before, and they've been sitting on my office floor here for about 2 months. So I already had them set up to go out on the west side of the state to that select group of size of properties in the Grand Rapids area. So that's what I'm doing coming up next. Definitely we'll do text messaging and different things like that once we get ramped back up here. Like I said, we've done calls. We use Mojo Caller, and we've tried reaching out to the owners and stuff like that. There we had to really get a good number of calls, as well as the owner's name and number. That's what we're kind of trying out a couple different skip tracers for that information. So we'll be employing that as well. That's a good question. Anybody else has done anything else different?
Where do you get the list, or what list are you using?
The list I'm using, your microphone's just a little bit low, okay? The list I use, I take apartments.com, and then I bounce that off. In fact, this list here, I called the cities directly and had them send me a list that met my criteria. And both lists, I think, were like $25. So and then I bounce it off of apartments.com. I do the same thing with mobile home parks. I use Mobile Home Park Village, do that, as well as go to the city and ask them for how they're coded. So that'd be your best way to do it. Target a city. And again, like I always talk about, target where you want to go, and then call up the assessor's office, typically the assessor's office or the tax assessor's office, and ask them, hey, I'm looking for multifamily from this to this, or how do you code them now? Like I know on the west side of the state, they multifamily begins at like 5 units and goes up to thousands of units. So I had to kind of make sure I clarified with them, well, I'm looking for above 5 units. So I started like at 10 and up. And in one city, they don't call it multifamily, they call it apartments. So that's how I got my list, and that's how I got most of my lists that I have in my database. Is I target a city and call them up, and just and most of them are just tickle pink that you're talking to them first of all, and because remember, when you're calling the assessor's office or the tax people's office, most calls to them are from people, what, let's say, angry about their taxes, right? So you get a guy like me calling saying, hey, what do you know about this? Can you give me this list? And it's a total different, like, whoa, this is great. So that's how I get it, Kay, is I target a city, and then I just call up the assessor's office and have them create me a list, and they send it in an Excel file. They'll usually send it in a couple days after payment, and you just sort it the way you want to, and bam. Now it still does. Sometimes they have, a lot of times I should say, they will have the LLC as the owner. So they don't break it down for you. That you can break down easier. But starting with a list is the first step, right? That's half the battle. You can go to the Secretary of State or Laura here in Michigan and find who owns that LLC. But it's the list is the thing. So, but that's a great question.
Yeah,
Any
I
other
actually,
question?
oh, sorry, I actually tried that with the city of Southfield, and the lady said, you got to go to the county for that, and hung up. So I don't know if I asked for the wrong thing or what.
That may be possible. Oakland County is a little bit different than Wayne.
Okay.
So yeah, that may be it. Sorry she hung up on you, but yeah, you may have to call the Oakland County and ask them, hey, I'm looking in Southfield. I know Oakland County has a myoaklandcounty.org, I think, website that you can look stuff up like that. You may want to try that. But I know in like Wayne County areas, you have to go to the actual city, like Plymouth or Northville or Livonia, and get it from there. But Oakland County is a little bit different. But try that. Try. One thing I have noticed in Oakland County, everything costs money. Meaning, anything you want from them, they got it on their website. Here 25 for this, 10 for this, everything. But yeah, I would try that. I think I ran into that earlier as well. But again, you
Okay.
got to look at the cost of doing business, right? Let's say you get a list in Southfield, and what you can also do too, Hartford, is go to apartments.com, which is owned by CoStar, and do a search there of the apartments in that you're looking for, and then at the same time call the city as well. Combine those two. Now you've got more data that you can work from, or when you get the list from the city, you can compare. Okay, I'm looking at this one over here on 9 Mile and Lasher. Okay, yep, there's the owner right there. But that's what I would do.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. Thanks.
You bet. Are you going to start marketing soon here, or are you gonna? You said you were going to start back up again.
Yeah, I'm gonna start marketing. I've been paying for Prospect Now.
Okay. Yep,
Um,
I've heard of them. Yep.
yeah, mixed results. I mean, um, some of the actually all the counties that I've used, I know there's way more apartments than the results they return back. And
Okay. So
so
now
actually,
Prospect Now, kind of, I don't mean to stop you, but
mhm.
Prospect Now is a list broker. Is that what? Can you kind of explain what that is?
Oh, okay. So best way I can explain it is I can select a county, and then I put in my criteria like dates sold or
Okay.
price sold for. There's a bunch of different criteria you can do. Select residential or commercial for property type. You can select square footage for property type. And there's a lot of other options, but those are the main ones that I use. And then it runs a search for you, and then it brings up a list of, I guess everything that they can pull
Mm-hmm.
in the county. So, or even in the county, you can break it down by city too. So, like for example, Southfield. If I was to do Southfield, they would give me everything that they can pull from the various lists that they pull it from. That's in
Gotcha.
Southfield, and it gives you the owner on file. Sometimes it's the LLC, sometimes it's somebody's name. For an extra fee, you can get their email and their phone number. But just part of the service I have, I get the mailing address and information on the property, like when they bought it, what was the what was it pay, what they pay for, if
Is
it's
there a mortgage and stuff
first
like that
mortgage,
on it?
yeah, that kind
Okay.
of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's cool. Okay. So that's prospect. Now, do you mind, what do you pay for that a month?
So I pay $99 a month, and
Okay.
it was supposed to be for 2 counties a month. Now every month I can call them up and switch the counties, but for whatever reason they gave me a third county, so I'm paying 99 for 3 counties. And
Okay.
so every month I call them up, and depending on where I'm at, I switch it around and
Okay.
try to look at some other counties. So.
So now you made a comment where you did a search and you thought that there was a lot more in that county. What? Because you kind
Well,
of know the county and you're like, okay, there's 12. Okay, well, there's more than 12 because,
yeah. So for example,
okay,
like Oakland County, they gave me like 200 results or something like that. And I went on apartments.com,
that
and
does seem low.
yeah, I mean for all of Oakland County, right? And I
Yeah,
went on apartments.com, and of course they list a lot more. So
interesting.
but you know, I'm giving them a try for a few more months, and just to see what happens, because it makes it quicker
Yeah,
doing it that way, but
yes,
also
it
I'm not
does.
getting as much data as I could if I was to go the way you're talking about.
Yeah, but again, you get started, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the kind of the whole thing, and thank you for sharing that information as well. But yeah, that's really, a lot of times I did it because, at that point in my job, I was able to do it and I did it. Shouldn't say that out loud, but I did it when I was supposed to be working, but I
Mm-hmm.
had a job that was enabled me to do that. And I somewhat enjoyed it, so it wasn't a pain for me. And obviously, paying thousands of dollars a month for it. I tried most of all those lists, and I found the same thing where I knew that, okay, this, and I knew that there's this many in there, and they came back results like you found. This is just, wait a minute, this is not correct. I think one of them I tried. I think of the name of it. I was doing self storage, and they came back with like marinas in there. I mean, like half of them were marina. I'm like, come on, guys, what are we
Mm-hmm.
doing? But you have to try those things to say, okay, here's what I'm really looking for. So hopefully that'll drive you to say, okay, what better way is there? But it gets you started, right? Let's say you take those, 200 and start mailing to them tomorrow, compared to waiting to go to apartments.com and stuff like that. So they serve some purpose, and it got you moving, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. So interesting. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yep.
Anybody else tried any other services that kind of pulls different data? And there's a lot of them out there. And again, the best way to do is just try them. Um, I've tried quite a few of them. But again, I set up a system where I was able to do it, like through apartments.com, and then bouncing it off the list the city sends me, and filtering it pretty quickly, and boom, and then doing it through the LoRa. The LoRa is the state where you look up the LLC, who owns the LLC, and get the documents in there. So who owns that LLC, and that's who you send it to. So, but a lot of these services work, just like a lot of the mailing houses and stuff like that. You just got to try them and, see if they work, see if they don't. But it's the biggest thing is get out there and do it. That's the biggest thing.
Hey, Pat,
Yes.
what's been your experience with the texting? So I'm assuming that once you get the owner's name, you're going to do a skip trace, try and come up with a phone number.
Mm-hmm.
Have you, I mean, is that something that you feel that has been beneficial or something you would continue to pursue? Has it been the ratio not been good?
All the above. The biggest thing is
Sorry.
getting the numbers, and then also crafting the getting the numbers from a skip tracer for the cell. I've tried a couple different companies, and I don't have their names offhand, but I'll bring them next time. One's a little bit better than the other, so you have to ask for cell, and then crafting the message that you send out is we're still playing with that as far as when you text it to somebody, what would you want to see on there if you're a building owner? We tried a couple different messages. We had some people, text back. In fact, one gentleman who had a mobile home park texted us back and said, "I'll sell it for $5 million." Like, okay. So I had to go back and see what he was, and he wasn't motivated. He was just basically telling me, but what that did is verified, okay, that's a cell phone, but that never went anywhere. But it's too early to tell as far as, because I don't have enough cell phone numbers to really do it. I will continue to do it. Yes, I will, because that's a different way to reach them compared to a letter or an email. We have done emails. I've only gotten like one response to an email. Basically, well, I would say more than likely because of my lack of follow-up and due diligence in putting it like an autoresponder. But we'll continue to do that. Yeah, definitely. But its biggest thing is getting that message quickly, that they're not gonna, who are you? That's the key. But yeah, and also using the skip tracer that gives you a good cell phone number.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
Pat, though, wouldn't you say that I think phone is by far the most connections, I would say, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good observation, Bob. Yes. Yeah, that was the best. We use Mojo Dialer, and in fact, Bob and I are working together on that. Yeah, without a doubt, you pick up the phone and talk to them, and then you get the answer, whether they're, get out of my face or call me back, or yeah. But that's a good point. But again, it goes back to the quality of the data, that you're getting. But hitting them all different ways, you have to. I mean, you really have to be that nimble fox out there, because they may not have a cell phone, but they have, an email, or they have, a cell phone, or they have, they don't do anything and they want everything in paper. Great. Does that help you?
Yeah. What's Mojo? I'm not familiar with that.
Mojo Dialer. It's
Dialer?
mojodialer.com. I think that's what it is, isn't it, Bob? It's a web-based calling system where you can log in like we're doing right here and do several calls at one time. You can queue up like 4 different calls, and whoever answers the call, the other 2 drop, and you get that person. So you can go through a list of 100 people within like 2 hours, and it auto dials the number for you, so you're not going deek 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 deek. It auto dials the number, so you're getting to the person quicker, and it's
And then
fairly. Go ahead.
it's integrated with a CRM too, so
Yep.
it'll mark whether the line went to voicemail. If it went to voicemail, it automatically drops a pre-recorded voicemail and then lets you
That's right,
know
yeah.
that it went to voicemail and marks it that way. Or at the end of the call, you can take notes right in there, and it'll CRM it, and so you can go back over the list and see what happened with each number, which ones you need to weed out, which ones you need to follow up on.
Okay. So it would integrate like with Podio.
I think it can, but it has its own CRM built in, though.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I just was looking into Podio. I just downloaded the stuff I was looking at it, and for to use as a CRM, but I'm open to suggestions on that. Anybody
I'm trying to get the actual URL of Mojo. It's Mojo Dialer. Yeah, we've used it. God, probably most of last year, and it like Bob said, it definitely works. And you can just burn through lists. I mean, again, we pre-recorded a message, so if it goes to voicemail, it drops it automatically, and then it goes to the next call. So there's not that wait time of leaving a message and then dialing the next one. It's all automatic, and that's yeah, it works. I mean, it does. Like he said, it does have a CRM built into it, where you can then download all that stuff into Excel and do whatever you wanted to do with that. But I've tried Podio. I tried putting my database, which is basically it's in Excel right now. I just never transferred it over. For some reason, Excel is the good, but yeah, but let us know about the Podio if it works and works for you.
Yeah, I'm just playing around with it, do a tutorial, and was talking to a guy I know that uses it pretty extensively and says it works well for him. But it's just, there's so many different programs, so many different likes and dislikes. You just kind of have to wade through them, I guess.
Yeah. Well, what I found is like in Podio or some of the other ones, I never, I guess, kind of knew how I wanted to set it up. You know what I'm saying? Is like the contacts over here, previous contacts, and I never stop long enough to do that. That I just put it in Excel, and if I export the stuff from Mojo and put that on the other side for results. But that's what I found is like in these CRMs like Podio, and I'm trying to think the other one I was using, that to get it all set up correctly, that's really the framework that's got to start first. And I guess I never really took the time to do that, meaning like these gentlemen you're talking to, they've got their processes set up, the flow. And I guess I never did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know about how that works, because it definitely would, would help somebody to do that. But I just keep mine in Excel. I should move it to somewhere else, so then we can use that in coordination with Mojo. When they're, go to voicemail, we do this, and then a good CRM, follows you through that. Okay, he did a cell phone or he did the email. Okay, we follow up with them, and that's probably my biggest thing is the follow up. I'm trying to get better, but that's my Achilles heel. It really is that follow up.
Okay. Who do you guys use for skip tracing?
I use a couple different companies. Goodness. I got 3 screens here and I'm trying to figure out where to go. Let me see if I can. Oops, that's going to close something out. Oh, hang on. Okay, that was the wrong one to close. I can get those to you. I used about 3 different ones. I'm trying to think of the names off the top of my head, and I apologize because they're on my other computer. But I can get those to you, and I'll tell you which ones we use. But one was better, a little bit better than the other, getting cell phone. One was a little bit better about getting other addresses. So I kind of used them in combination. But the biggest thing is they're like 15 cents a name, so it's not like this huge, hundreds of dollars to do that. So they're pretty relatively inexpensive. But again, you got to compare, okay, if I get a guy's cell phone number and I can buy a building at 24 units,
Right.
cool. Yeah, but I can get that to you. And if, I think everybody, I have most of your emails, but I can send that out to you guys and gals and get that to you. Definitely. Good question. I should have had that pulled up, but I will. Let me see. Hang on 1 second. I don't know which screen oops, that's not it either. All right. When I try to minimize anything, it tells me the Zoom meeting is going to close. So I don't want to do that, but yeah, I'll get that to you guys.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions or comments or anything, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. Well, I'm going to end here. I've taken a lot of your time, and I appreciate this. I really thank you for all the participation. This has been great. Thank you very much for this, and we'll see you next month. Same time, same place. I hope you like the new format. I think it's pretty cool. And come with your questions, come with your deals, and we'll go from there. Alrighty. Well, listen, thank you very much. We'll talk to you guys, if not before, next month. And thank you for participating.
Thank you, Pat.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you,
a lot,
Pat.
Pat.
Thank
Have
you,
a
guys.
good one.
Thank
You
you
too
very
now,
much.
guys. Bye-bye now.